Okay then guys, these are Tradesmen from Mears in conjunction with Moat housing cutting down 6-foot fence posts so they don't have to dig a hole to put them in. You guys have been out there for about an hour already. They don't seem to be using concrete to sink the posts. It's hard to see from here, but that fence goes right up against the wall on the house there. That was just basically screwed straight in, no brackets, you'll notice. On the posts, they're not using the proper brackets all the way down, they're just screwing the panels directly to the posts. I despair with so-called craftsmen these days, I really do. I don't understand. I mean, look at the way that's wobbling. I don't understand how these people can even call themselves craftsmen. They come out, they do the job as quickly and as cheaply as they can, and then they run home again, and that's it. They're not using met posts, you know, the metal bottoms that you stick the post in. They seem to be concrete in one corner. We'll probably do both corners actually, but I get the distinct feeling that the first bit of harsh weather we get, and we've had a lot of harsh windy weather lately, the first bit of harsh weather we get, the fence is just going to blow down. The same as the one the 75-year-old old lady put up outside. But I just get so tired these days of tradesmen that come round and supposedly to do a job, and they're just awful. The tradesmen we've had in our house over the last 5 or 6 years, I could do a better job than them. Now that's really saying something. I'm a computer programmer. While I've had experience in the building trades, I'm certainly not qualified to be a chippy or a plumber or an electrician or anything like that. But I see the quality of work that people put in, and I'm just disgusted by it. I don't know how they can put their names to it. An electrician came to visit to put some new sockets in because these houses are quite old. They didn't really have enough sockets for the kind of technology that we have these days. The electrician was going to run the cable, or this trunking, all the way along the wall at this level. All the way along the wall at the level of the plugs, rather than down low. Even then, what he's done now, it took me half an hour to convince him that putting it along there, I mean, this is a desk. We sit at computers here, so if you put trunking halfway up that wall, it's going to get kicked off so quickly. It took me half an hour to convince him that he needed to put it down near or on the floor, and it's ridiculous. Just look at it. There was more than enough space for him to put the trunking right down in there, all the way along. It would have only taken him a little bit of effort, a little bit of extra effort, but obviously these days it's just too much to ask for, is a little bit of effort. It's probably difficult to see in here, but this room is tiny, literally. It's a metre across and about 3 metres wide. Now there used to be a light switch just there that turned the light up in the roof space on. The same electrician that did that bodge up in the front room decided to put the light switch here on the wrong side of the door. So now whenever we open these, you know, the drawers are basically, you have to work your way around. There's not too much of an issue, but I can't understand why, given that everything's already in place on this side, everything was already in place on this side, why would you take it off of that side and move it over there? There's more to the light switch fast. He put a light in the loft. So we'll go up and have a look at that and you'll see just what I mean. So the specification was to put a light in the loft. Now, instead of using common sense and applying the light in the loft to this switch here and that bulb there, what he actually did was run power up into the loft. Now we have to climb up on a chair to get up into our loft. Our loft is not easy to get up to. Run power up to the loft and then put the light switch there. Now I'm 6'3" and I can barely reach the loft, and I have to actually get up into the loft to turn the light on. And I can tell you exactly why he put that light switch there. It's because he couldn't think past the end of his nose. He sat here. He sat right there and thought, yeah, that's low enough. Instead of just applying a bit of common sense and putting the light switch for the attic on that switch there. We've had plumbers come round to replace this cabinet. The plumber came round, replaced the cabinet, and then left the house knowing that the drain was blocked. Just left, and left the drain blocked. Again, part of his job sheet was to get the drain unblocked. So what he did, he squirted some chemicals down the drain. That was it. He didn't unblock the drain, he just worked under the assumption that the chemicals would work. I think one of the most frustrating aspects of all of it is that when you challenge one of these so-called tradesmen and point out that maybe they haven't done quite such a good job, they get really quite irate about it. It's as if you've just personally insulted them, which I can understand to an extent. But if they actually did a good job in the first place, thought about what they were doing rather than just charging in like a bull in a china shop, they'd do a much better job and wouldn't have to suffer complaints. I don't understand why standards are slipping so very much these days. Why is it over the last 10 years, last decade, people have suddenly decided that jobs are only worth doing for the money and not for the job, not for the satisfaction?